Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing U.S. immigration. Specifically, we're discussing the Trump public charge rule. For those unaware, if you haven't been keeping up with this channel, the public charge rule is basically the rules that pertain to one's financial ability to support an immigrant. In the context of this channel, we're mostly talking about this in the context of a K-1 visa for fiancés of U.S. citizens or for immigrant spouse visas for U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents. And basically the public charge rule prior to Trump enacting enacting is the wrong word because it was done essentially through administrative rulemaking. But basically before the Trump administration sort of got a hold of things, the public charge rule basically stipulated that one had to show income over 125% of the federal poverty guidelines associated with a household size which pertained to that given family. And then Trump changed things up. Basically, the income requirements went a lot higher, and they added a bunch of forms and things, including the DS 5540, and essentially it tacked on a lot of problematic, nettlesome documentation and analysis for those looking to go into Thailand, looking to go into the United States. And look, we didn't so much see this in a consular processing context because by the time it was coming to the foreground, COVID hit and then basically kind of gummed up the works for almost a year, and we just didn't hardly see anything process out. So the Biden administration, though, is apparently, for lack of a better term, sort of rescinding this rule. Quoting directly from a recent statement, this is from U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Office of Public Affairs, titled DHS Secretary Statement on the 2019 Public Charge Rule. I thought this particular excerpt pretty much summed it up. Excuse me. Today, DHS Secretary Alejandro N. Mayorkas announced that the government will no longer defend the 2019 Public Charge Rule, as doing so is neither in the public interest nor an efficient use of limited government resources. The 2019 Public Charge Rule was not in keeping with our nation's values. And essentially, we've gone into this. There were injunctions filed against this, and the former administration was fighting it out in the courts. This administration has said that that is not a priority, and it looks like we are sort of, for lack of a better term, snapping back or reverting back to the pre-Trump public charge rule. Now, these things always have, especially in consular processing when you're dealing with visa applications abroad, these things always kind of have more nuance to them than they first appear. So exactly how this is going to play out from a practical sense, forms that were added, although some of them have been just totally ignored. DOS did that a while ago. I'm doing another video on that contemporaneously with this one. But long story short, there could still be practical implications to the things that the last administration did. And as noted by other YouTubers, especially some other immigration lawyers out there who do some really good YouTube stuff and are far more watched than I, to be frank, as they have pointed out, there's a lot of folks that were sort of on board with the prior policies of the prior administration that are sort of, for lack of a better term, well entrenched in the bureaucracy and, may be trying to sort of keep the spirit of those rules going. It's a bit of a speculation. My personal opinion is, yeah, the ship is turning around, for lack of a better term, but it takes a while. You can't just stop on a dime. It has to, reorient, and it's going to take some months before we really see concrete changes. But we've already seen a lot change. I mean, as I've noted in other videos on this channel, NBC is now sending cases to the embassy here. So obviously we're processing through K-1s, we're processing through K-3s, immigrant spouse visas. Things have changed a lot in just the last roughly 2.5 months. So I presume, things will change further as this administration, sort of sallies forth.